Hello and a very warm welcome to Bharata First. I'm frankrausanpereira. This is FRP Explains. The entire world is reeling with the Wuhan virus pandemic, and China is up to its old tricks. We all know the problems that it has caused in eastern Ladakh and the border dispute between India and China. But India is not the only country that Beijing is troubling. It's at it once again. Nepal's Home Ministry has now raised red flags about Chinese incursions into Nepal. The Home Ministry of Nepal has said that China is trying to change the status quo by removing border pillars in the district of Daulkha. The red flag has been raised and a report has been presented to Nepal's Foreign Ministry. Nepal is concerned about this because a similar incident happened even in 2020. I think it was in September when there were protests in Nepal as well, in Kathmandu, where people of Nepal were saying that Nepal should stand up to China for all that it is doing because it had made inroads, it had built infrastructure in areas of remote Nepal on the border, which Nepal calls its own. That's where the Chinese came and built 11 buildings. So this is not something new. Let me give you a little history into the border of Nepal and China. There was an agreement that was reached in 1960, followed by a treaty that was signed in 1961 by both the nations with regards to the border. And after which 76 border pillars were erected so that the border can be demarcated. But now those border pillars are being removed. That can mean only one thing, that China is up to its tricks there and wants to change the borders and wants to tighten the screws against Nepal. The timing is also questionable because the Nepalese political parties have been trying to keep China away. The entire subcontinent has now become aware of the Chinese model of economic entrapment and other coercive methods that it uses, and hence they want to try to stay away from China. But that's going to be a very difficult proposition because the Chinese model is a very different kind of a model that entraps everyone that comes in its path and in its way. And some of these smaller nations, especially in the subcontinent, may find it difficult to push China back. And this is where I think an opportunity arises for India, because the political equations too have changed. KP Sharma Oli has now been sworn in as the Prime Minister for the third time in Nepal, and he is a wily old customer. After the uber nationalism and all the anti-India rhetoric that he spewed a few years ago, that was mainly for political gain. These things politicians do all over the place, and we should understand that. He has now tied up with Terai parties which are pro-India and formed the government in Nepal. So now it is going to be difficult for him to take that anti-India stand. Also, Nepal doesn't have the capacity or doesn't have the will right now to take on China at any level because it's going through a very tough time with the pandemic. And Nepal, despite all that has happened, did not go to Beijing for vaccines or did not go to Beijing for help, but instead went to the UK asking for some kind of support because the Nepalese don't want to feel indebted to China because of all that has happened in the recent past. So this is where India can step in. Right after the earthquake that hit Nepal a few years ago, India really stood as an elder brother and helped Nepal out. And in this time of need, I think it makes sense for us to continue to engage with Nepal and build that relationship, put aside our differences that we have, realizing and understanding that it was all a political gimmick. We need to stand with Nepal in this hour of need and improve our relations as much as possible, because keeping Beijing out is our topmost priority. And Beijing has given us a line of hope or a lease of hope to get in and make inroads once again and improve the relationship. And with KP Sharma Oli tying up with the Terai parties, it makes it so much more easier for us to go to Nepal and to improve our ties. That we've had historical ties, we've had religious ties with Nepal, and these ties have always been strong. Because of political complications and implications, the relationship has been a little rocky every now and then, but our ties go beyond just these political linkages. There is much more to the ties between India and Nepal, and that's what we need to nurture, that's what we need to build, and that's what we need to take to the next level. And I see that happening in the months and years to come. Let's just hope that we put our minds together and build on this robust relationship, minus some of the problems that may crop up here and there. Everyone has these problems. Even in families, we have tensions and we have fights, and we always make up, patch up, and look to the future. That's what India and Nepal need to do as well. With that, it's a wrap on this edition of FRP Explains. If you like the content, please like the video, subscribe, hit the bell icon, and then all notifications. For those of you who would like to come forward and make a contribution, you may do so by using our UPI IDs. A small contribution that you make will go a long way in us bringing you this content. That's it from me. See you again next time.